All right, everyone.
All right,
I
everyone.
am really hoping that everyone can properly hear me. Thank you
Hear
so
me.
much
Thank you
for
so
joining.
much for joining.
I'm just going to quickly mute the other speakers because I hear myself a little bit in the background. It's wonderful that you're all here watching live, basically 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. Central European time. Of course, we're all in different time zones, I suppose. Wonderful that you've all signed up for a new ecstasy session. This time we'll be discussing Web3 from a security perspective, from a really, hopefully, an insider security perspective. We have wonderful people with us, builders, developers, founders, maybe all three combined in one person. And we will be speaking about lots of interesting topics fundamentally. First of all, I'm Alex. I'm the founder and CEO of Trilled Labs. We are a Dutch Web3 startup building Web3 networking and event solutions. And basically what we're doing here today is part of our small effort that is creating a female group for female, professionals in our industry. And of course, a couple of male supporters, such as Mohammed, of course, and others that are joining us from time to time, for instance, in these live sessions. We'll be speaking today openly about the most common security risks in Web3 for end users, organizations, and whatnot. And we'll be speaking about hacks, social engineering, wallets, all sorts of things. And we'll be also speaking a little bit more about media platforms and basically cybersecurity from a media perspective. We will hear more from our wonderful speakers about that. Now, I've talked enough. I would love to introduce now our various speakers actually that we have with us today. And I will just quickly, say who they are and then ask, of course, if they have something to add there, because of course there's lots of interesting information on the table about yourselves. Maybe just start from alphabetical perspective. I would say ladies first. Arikia, you're the founder of Control Plus X, if I pronounce this correctly. You do also lots of different things in this space. You have lots of really experience as a journalist and in lots of different ways as well. So I would love to ask if you can quickly introduce yourself whilst I also unmute you. That would be fantastic, please.
Thank you so much, Alex. Yes, I have a background in the journalism industry, and it was really in that phase that I started to explore cybersecurity, because journalists have sort of like a life or death need sometimes to stay safe online, and they're constantly being targeted for hacks. And so I did a bit of consulting in cybersecurity before I started my company Control X, which is doing decentralized content licensing and distribution to create new revenue streams and new business models for the journalism industry. And as a builder in this space now in Web3, I think it's so important to consider security through all phases of development, because it's a make or break for any product. And just from an ethical standpoint, you want to make sure that you're keeping your users safe. So thanks for hosting this panel.
Of course. Thank you for that brief yet very insightful introduction. Let me just move this away from the screen. Thank you, Arikia. Wonderful to have you with us. Now let's move then to Masha. Please be very welcome and feel free to introduce yourself. You also bring a lot of experience in the space, and we had a pleasure to meet last year in Stockholm, if I'm not mistaken. So please take it away. We'd love to hear from you. You are doing lots of different things. Let me say that first. You're a Web3 consultant in the security space, a trainer. Maybe you can speak a little bit more about that. You are also part of Women in Ethereum Protocol, and indeed an independent security researcher. Maybe you can share a little bit more details about what you're doing like on a daily basis and who you are fundamentally. Let me unmute you, please.
Yep. Hey everyone, I'm Masha, and I would say that I'm an independent security researcher. I do some educational stuff in Web3 space. I wrote some courses about Web3 security, and as a daily basis, I would say that I'm doing audits and sometimes bug bounties. And I also do some researches about hacks, about scams, but yeah, it's not posted yet. So I am in progress. So as a daily basis, I am just the usual independent security researcher.
Well, there is nothing usual about that, and we're going to hear all about that and your expertise later. I think let me also put this QR code away. It's always slightly tricky to host and talk and move the screen at the same time, but luckily it's most of you who have to do the work. Mohammed, last but not least, you're joining us. Very, very grateful for that. You're our full stack developer and a blockchain and smart contracts engineer. And I believe that you're also building a couple of your own projects. Feel free to elaborate on that. And welcome and thank you for supporting females in the space.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, have a background in sales and marketing, and now I'm a blockchain developer and very interested in smart contracts engineering. And also, I'm studying AI and machine learning, and I'm building a Web3 based AI music verification project that is focused on provenance and trust.
Wow, you are fast. That is fantastic. I'm sure you're going to hear lots of more information from you shortly. I would also like to thank you, by the way. Of course, our initial speaker was Jesse, CTO of Trolled Labs. He sadly couldn't make it. He's also sick, a little bit like myself. But we have to pull through. So many people signed up. And thank you for being an awesome, not substitute, just a person by yourself who is joining us. And we're super happy to have you finally joining one of our sessions, as we know each other for a little while now. So that's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now, dear speakers, I would love to actually pose you one quick first question. The reason why we initially set up basically this meeting in the first place was actually born because we saw within our team at Trolled Labs that lots of people were getting approached, by scammers, by hackers, by fake emails. Almost everyone in the space and these days have like a story to share about something that has happened to them. In fact, I'm going to be very honest and transparent. I almost got hacked last year. I caught it right in time, but it really woke me up as to the risks in this space. I don't think that I'm the most naive person, but it caught me in a moment of tiredness in a crazy week. And basically that shows that anything is possible, and we really, really need to be agile at all times, 24/7. So hence this session today. I hear a little bit myself from time to time in the background. That is no problem. I would love to ask you, to all speakers, have you potentially recently run into any like shady type of person or hack that almost, occurred to you? Do you have something to share that you have maybe recently observed that you really feel, to break the ice, that other people should know about? If not, that's also perfectly fine. Maybe I can start with you, Masha or Moa. Feel free to speak up.
It's a little bit difficult to explain, but I'm trying to hunt by myself all scammers and all people who send me scam invitations or scam mails. Because, as I said before, I'm trying to do some research about it, to write a big paper about scammers, about their. I'm sorry, I'm mixing Swedish and English sometimes. So I'm so sorry about it. So I'm trying to hunt scammers by myself, and yes, of course, I meet them every day, and every time I'm just, oh yeah, let's talk about it. What do you want to say for me? So once I was almost scammed, and it was how I would say. It was a really nice job introduction. I already talked with some person, and she pretended to be from I would say the name, but it was a famous company who works with security, and we even talked with her by I guess it was Google Meet, or probably Zoom. Yeah, I guess it was Google Meet. But after 5 or 6 days, she sent me a Notion, a link to the Notion, and there was something that clicked. That no, it's not really nice. So can you imagine? We even talked with her, and everything pretend was perfect. But so she sent me a link to Notion, and clicked that there was some code base which I should download and run on my laptop. So this was not okay. So you never should run some code. Doesn't matter who say use it. So even if it's I don't know, Ethereum organization, if it's Trinity Lab or whatever, so you don't need to download and run your code. And they just, oh, stop. Yeah, we talked. Everything looks legit, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't run this code. Even we talked with her, even she showed me everything. And I did a mistake. I wrote her, oh, wait, I will ask that company, I will write the mail to that company and ask if you really work with them.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, and she blocked me. I just, oh shit, I shouldn't write it for her.
Yeah, that definitely says enough. So the takeaway from this is, even, developers and builders, you can go into a conversation, kind of like get seduced into talking with someone, of course, not in a romantic way, but like in a builder's way, I suppose, and not download any code from anyone on your computer and run it. Maybe
never, ever.
Also go to Arikia and maybe also to Moha, if you would like. Arikia, let me move to you. Any recent experience or maybe something else that you want to bring to the service that you feel is extremely important to mention right now?
Yeah, well, I just got back from Davos and I definitely heard in Whisper Networks that so-and-so was a scammer and they have just been kind of moving around parties, like running schemes. I didn't have any personal experiences with that there, but I always think of a pretty early experience that I had when I had just started building in the Web3 space. And I realized that I knew someone from like 10 years ago in New York that was the founder of a pretty big crypto company that does like oracles. And so I took a workshop here in Berlin and had been like reconnecting with this old friend, like chatting with him, like, hey, I'm at your company's workshop. And then on X, which I had been off of X for a couple years and kind of was dragged back on to be present in crypto. It's not my favorite network. Even before Elon took over, it wasn't. But, it's like if you work in Web3, you have to be on it. And so as I'm in the process of kind of like reorienting on X and just figuring out like all the jargon in the Web3 space, something came up on X, like, I don't remember if it was a DM or just like an @ message to me from an account that looked like the company of my friend of the workshop that I'd just been at, with the name, and I didn't realize at the time it had like another string of numbers and letters after, so it wasn't just the brand, but they said like, we want to give you a reward for being in this community, so just like click here to claim. And in my brain, I thought like, oh, well, this must be connected to what I had just done. And so I clicked through and it wanted me to attach my Coinbase account. And it was actually some protective measure from Coinbase that was built in that said like, are you sure? Are you sure? Like, this looks dangerous. But if it wouldn't have had that, I would have just signed like access to my Coinbase account to some random impersonator.
Ooh, so it were close there. Luckily, you caught it in time.
Yeah.
Maybe I will quickly then move maybe to Moha. Like, have you had anything like similar in this space? And in terms of experiences, and if not, right, if there's maybe like a common security risk that you feel that is somehow underestimated by people in this space, it kind of like ties in, right? Basically, as we move to the next question, let me just unmute you and then boom, bring you on the screen.
Yeah, for me, it's only the early stages that everyone experience every day on LinkedIn with messages about jobs, and then you have to go and book appointments with using Calendly links and or download some, like Masha said, GitHub repo exam, for example. It's these basic things, but I never went through real hack problems. So it's always these ones that they are obvious. It's very important to not go and download anything or share or follow a link that is very suspicious. It's obvious that you have to stop there.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And let me just mute you for a second. Sorry. I totally agreed there. The thing is that sometimes, even if we don't really seek to underestimate matters, it just has to catch you at the wrong moment. That is at least my experience. I've always been so agile with these things, and the fact that I almost run into a scam last summer in a crazy week. I've been really embarrassed about this. I've been thinking about writing a LinkedIn post, but I just feel too embarrassed because what would people think, right? A supposed tech founder almost running into a scam, almost getting her computer hacked. But anyway, this is not about me. What I do want to do is bring your attention to actually my next question. So I would love to maybe once again ask you, Moha, and then move to Arikia. Like, what do you really think that common security risks are kind of like still underestimated by Web3 users or organizations based upon your specific experience or feedback or expertise? Maybe I can start with you, Moha, if you are comfortable in continuing to speak.
Yeah, and when it comes to Web3 hacks, it's usually not a technical, it don't start like a technical issue 100%. It's more like social engineering, like we see with these hacks. They are trying to hack you. They fake jobs, they fake investors, and the attackers, they try to break the system. They don't try to break the system. They try to convince you users to authorize it by themselves first before they try to hack you. So it's in the end, it always comes to the users. They have to understand what they are approving and what they are dealing with before we go to the technical issues.
Right, so it's a matter of users understanding what they're improving. Agreed, yes. Would you agree, Arikia, or what is your perspective on these matters? Yeah, feel free to take it away.
Yes, definitely.
Let me check.
Okay, sorry, I was muted.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, definitely. One of the people who taught me about cybersecurity when I was just starting off in the tech industry used to call it a picnic situation when which stands for problem in chair, not in computer. And I think that still applies most of the time, where it's something operational, where a user is just not aware of best practices for security protocols, or they want to take a shortcut for time's sake, and they just overlook things, cut corners, and impact can be devastating.
That makes total sense. I think that Masha, I saw you like moving your head. I think you agreed. Am I correct there? Let me please try to mute yourself. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Yes, I agree with everything that Mohammed and Arika says, but I also but I also can add that probably 2 or 3 things that's really underestimated. The first one, it's about auditing, the stuff which I worked with and working still. I mean, people usually think that if they audited stuff, it means that it's secure. It's not. So it can help to avoid some common hacks. It can help to avoid some contract logic fails, but everything going, so moving forward all the time. And today we probably uh, don't know some hacks which will be tomorrow. You understand what I mean? So people usually think that, okay, if I paid for auditor or if I paid for bug bounty or etc., so it's secure right now. Yes, it's more secure than before for this moment, not for tomorrow, not for time after 1 week or so or so. So that's really underestimated. So people think that, okay, I audited it 3 years ago, everything works perfect. That's no.
No, that's definitely not true.
Yes,
And sorry, you're kind of like an expert, right, on bug bounties and audits. Maybe
Mhm.
before we move to that, because I'm sure that there's lots of Web3 folks watching, both from projects, but maybe also retail investors, maybe people that use wallets and that want to know, hey, is this wallet even audited? Like, what does that mean for the security of matters? I would also really be curious for a second to maybe ask you, Arikia, about your perspective on audits, bug bounties, and yeah, why they are important, or perhaps you don't find them important. Who knows? For people in this space.
No, I definitely do find them important, and just had a funny conversation with a potential investor I was pitching, where I was talking about our need to do security audits and build out a robust encryption system and check and make sure everything is as it's supposed to be before launch. And they kind of said like, well, do you really need all of these features? Like, can't you just launch and do it later? And I was kind of like, maybe this isn't the investor for me if that's the attitude, because the safety of my users and anyone that I'm going to be serving is so important. And it's through these practices of bug bounty problems, like inviting people from outside networks, inviting professionals to come in and look under the hood of a system and just make sure you've really checked all of the boxes and fortified things as much as you can. That's what might save you from something completely preventable that could cost who knows how much, and the trust of your users. And especially in my industry, in the media industry, it's really difficult to ask people to change their behavior and move from one system to the next. So I want to do everything I can to make sure that I can maintain the trust once users come over to my side of the pool.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you're bringing that to our attention. Just for everyone, first thing I wanted to say, I'm just muting the other speakers for a second whilst one of them is talking, just so that hopefully the sound is a little bit clearer. On top of that, I much encourage everyone, if you're here and you're watching, I don't think that there's billions of you, but there's definitely a handful. A lot of people registered. Feel free to comment in the comment section if you have a question or maybe a tip, right, that we can just showcase on screen, and that is also helpful for the rest. Or maybe if there's something that you don't agree with, also always happy to learn from your criticisms, right? That's also important in building. Now, I would love to move to a second to you, Moha. Whilst I unmute you. And what I would actually love to ask you, like you already brought up like your expertise with things like social engineering attacks and how they really unfold, how they lead to wallet drains or whatnot. Like, and are there perhaps, based upon your experience, any examples that you want to give, you know, as to things that you have seen? How does these things typically unfold? Talk to us about social engineering and your expertise. What can we learn from you?
Yeah, when it comes to Web3, it's not the same as Web2. For example, when you're building on Web2, developers always assume that uh, they can patch mistakes later because it's you have a back end that you can fix later. But when it comes to Web3, when you are working on Web3 and the smart contracts, when you're deploying a smart contract, it's a permanent. So mistakes are systematic here. So you can't just say this can be fixed later. You have to be sure that you have all on your plan is secured 100%, and you go over all the security levels and layers before deploying. Because when you deploy, it's permanent. You can't just fix this later. It's a big difference that we have to understand here.
That's very interesting. Before we move to maybe a follow-up question, that is actually maybe what is the difference between Web2 security and Web3 security from a user perspective? Arikia, I saw that you were moving your head, nodding or maybe agreeing. I would love to ask you, like, what's your perspective on this?
I mean, permanence is one of the most appealing features of building on chain. but it's also just a completely way of thinking about things because, yeah, like Mohammed said, if you are building like security vulnerabilities into a system, it's not as easy as just kind of like overwriting a website because of that permanence aspect. So it's definitely a huge consideration. One of the reasons why I'm building in this space is because of the potential for censorship proof media, where it's not possible to actually like redact something that is true and solid journalism just because someone pressures you to. But that also comes with a lot of new implications that we have to think about all the way down the line. And so I'm curious to know about more like what the practice is like for security researchers that have to take this into consideration as they're doing their daily work.
Fantastic. I just occasionally popped the QR code on screen that basically leads to your company and the project that you're building and that you're fundraising for. So I hope that there's lots of investors watching. Reach out to Arikia and to me also. We also need money, so reach out to us both. Thank you for that. Is there maybe one of the other two wonderful speakers that maybe want to reply to this or add something to the table? If not, we can move to the next question. I'm never scared for silence. I'm always happy to let it linger on. Mohammed?
We can take the next question. I think you're
Fantastic. Let's do that. So I want to speak for a second with you guys about tools. Who doesn't love tools, right? Something that you can really use in practice to actually make your life a little bit better. So I have a question for you, Masha. Do you have some tips for security practices or tools that, in your opinion, every Web3 professional should think about? Any tools that you would want to recommend? I believe that you might have prepared something for us, but I will let you speak.
Okay, so first of all, I would say that you need to split your wallets. It's the most important stuff. And I also would recommend, I know that it sounds crazy for most of people, but use a hardware wallet. You need to use a hardware wallet if you really interact in Web3 space. You can't use just one wallet for everything. So you need to split it, and most of all, buy hard wallet. And then I would also say that you need to know something more about approvals. I guess that I shared the link with you. Unlimited approvals, it's a pain in the ass. I'm sorry about it. And not all people really know what does it mean. Alrika, Mohammed, can you add something about unlimited approvals? So do you know what is it? Or Alex, do you know what is it?
no.
No. So I mean, okay, when you sign something, yes, it's good to read, good to know, and good to use. Actually, revoke approvals, revoke .cash. So when you sign something with your wallet, it can grant access for your wallet, for your funds, and it can hold for 1 year or for 2 years. And you can, I would say, you grant your access for this website, for example, for mashavadierova.se website, and now it's okay. But after 1 year, it will be compromised. But this site still have your approval, and hackers can hack your wallet and drain your funds through my website. Even if once it was safe, next year it wouldn't be safe, for example. So you need to have really good control over your approvals. And if you never used Revoke Cash, or I would say that there is a lot of different websites which can help you with approvals, but Revoke Cash is the most secure, I would say. So just go there and check how much approvals you have. People who never checked it probably can find that they have 500 approvals, 600 approvals, and that also that sucks, I would say. So yeah, so hard wallets and revoke cache, that's something that you really need to have. Then transaction understanding. So you need to, so most of wallets allow you to install some, I would say, simulation, and one of them is Tenderly. So when you sign something, you can simulate this sign signification and see what's going on. And if wallet warns you, just, oh my god, no, 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 just check a little bit. But if ignore, run. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Then also I would recommend to install Scam Sniffer. It's not a golden button, but it can help a little bit. It's better than nothing. So it can it can flag, it can warn you about some unknown scam domains, about some malicious signatures, but it's not the best one. But I mean, it's the best one right now. But you still need to think what are you doing. So it can help a little bit. It can warn you.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that you had actually prepared this. I knew that you're, of course, a lecturer, right? You know a lot about these topics. So it's wonderful that you took the time to do that. We will also add all these matters to the chat later on so that anyone who's interested can still, on their own time, go through it. Maybe if the others have nothing to add. Masha, you wanted to add one more thing?
Yes, most important, slow down. All the time when you need to sign something, slow down and check what are you signing, what exactly you signing, every field. So is it correct number, is it correct amount, is it unlimited or limited? Slow down. That's the most important. Yeah, sorry.
No, never say sorry. This is the place for us to speak as women, as men, as to share knowledge, right? This is great. Now, I have a wonderful speaker question right here up on screen, right? Hani is asking if even experts like you sometimes get scammed. Quickly adding here that luckily I didn't get scammed, but almost got scammed. So just putting that out there also for our investors, we aren't scammed for now. How safe are we as newcomers? Are there any courses or trusted communities you would, recommend? Maybe Moha, you have an idea. I see that you're shaking.
Yeah, it's no one is safe, but it's like you have when you are on this space, you have to think about like three things maybe. For example, who is requesting these transactions? For example, is it a trusted source or just a random link? And then what permissions I'm granting, for example, especially unlimited approvals or delegate accesses. And then we have to think like, is it something what I'm doing? Is it in a rush, for example, or if it is in a rush and under pressure, I can't think it twice and look carefully what I'm signing here. For example, as happened, you said you were in a week that it's been a rush, for example. So this three things I think that matters before we are to be safe. We have to take this in these three steps at the start before we can have a wallet, hardware wallet or wallet simulations or whatever. But we have also to take these three steps from the start to be able to know that we are safe.
Okay. And just so to recap, the 3 steps are, could you repeat them just for a second so that we point them
For
out?
example,
1, 2, 3.
who is requesting this transaction? We have to know the source we are dealing with, what permissions we are granting. We have to also be 100% sure what permissions we are granting here, and what if it is I am doing this in a rush before I have time to go through all the steps needed here.
Okay. That's fantastic. I just put that on screen. So the source of the transactions, the permissions that you're granted, and make sure that you're not in a rush. Good point. Good point. All right. So let's move, not in a rush, but still, to maybe a next question. I would love to also hear your perspectives on kind of a different topic. I know that, many of you are active as developers. I know that lots of people who signed up are actually developers, either in a Web2 space or in a Web3 space. What I would like to ask, maybe specifically from Masha and also from Moha, but maybe Arikia, if you have something to add, right, from the Web2 versus Web3 perspective. If developers are kind of like moving from one space to the other, like what security assumptions do you feel that are really breaking down first, and why do you think that said assumptions or misunderstandings, or however you want to frame it, actually can go out of the window? Maybe Masha, would you like to start, and then I move to Moha?
Yes, I can start from the first wrong assumption from Web2 developers to Web3 developers when you're moving. So you need to understand that backend will not protect us anymore. So if you were a Web2 developer, so you could think that, okay, I'm fixing later, I'm patching it later, I can probably do something later. Now you can't. So when you post it, everyone on the world, on the whole year, everywhere around you can see, and all your mistakes will be there forever, forever and forever. Yeah, of course, you can use kind of, oh, I forget the word. Awesome. Yeah, but okay, doesn't matter. The main idea that you need to know that you can't patch something later. It's the biggest fake assumption. So you can't, you before you can, now you can't. Then you also need to know that authentication is not the same as authorization. So in Web2, it's not the same. So you can log in, it's one step. Then you can take access and authorization. It's so how can I explain it? So before it was two different steps, authorization and authentication. Now it's one step.
Okay.
So when you sign something, when you authorize something, it's the same. So you just sign the message.
Yes.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it does. It does. Let me, I want to circle back for 1 second, just also because I think Moa maybe wants to add something here, if you don't mind. And feel free to maybe think also about the word. By the way, I just want to point out there, like you speak lots of different languages, right? You live in Sweden,
Yep.
you speak English, you're originally from Russia.
Yep.
Maybe we're also speaking about that in a little bit later in terms of what you're building. But I will let you bring that up. There is some similarities with what Arikia is doing, but I'm not going to bring that up. I will let that up to you, ladies. Maybe Moa, would you like to add something here about this whole topic?
Masha said, it's when it comes to Web2, it's always we have the back end where we can go and fix problems, or we don't have to think 100% about security layers when we are developing, because we can always go back and fix it. But when it comes to Web3, when we deploy something or contracts, it's permanent. We can't just deploy before having 100% tested smart contracts and security layers. That's what a developer should think when moving from Web2 to Web3.
Fantastic. Thank you. Arikia, I think this might be the moment where I actually will ask you a little bit more, if you don't mind, about what you're building. If you want to share, in a couple of maybe phrases, maybe security learnings that you've gotten over the years, maybe something that you felt that you wanted to add priorly, but I didn't ask you. You have a lot of experience as well. Also as a journalist, working for lots of amazing tech platforms, doing all this research. Is there something that you would like to bring about? We hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, one of the things that really tried to learn and teach other journalists early on is about threat modeling, and to be able to accurately position your risk level in terms of whatever it is that you're doing. Because especially like with security topics, when you talk to security researchers, they tend to go like overboard, like, lock down everything because they have the information and the basis to be able to process it. But for ordinary people who are just getting started and maybe, didn't think too much about simple security measures like using password managers or something, like it can be overwhelming. And then people can go into this like freeze mode of like, well, maybe I shouldn't do anything at all because it's too risky. So being able to threat model and say like, here are the best practices that I definitely need. Here, like I'm not handling like military grade secrets right now. I don't need to like make sure that every form of communication is heavy duty encrypted. And just being able to kind of like liberate yourself intellectually from some of the fear and paralysis that can come up when you're talking about security measures, and also to rely on your immediate network, because especially so like working as a journalist, like journalistic networks are so important in understanding where the authoritative sources are coming from. And that's built into the design of the Control X system that I'm building to enable journalists to bring their intellectual property back to them and associate the license for their published works with their Web3 wallets, or with kind of like an abstracted version of a wallet. And especially when it comes to Web3, I mean, one of the things that makes it so difficult to really like dive in is that there's so many new words. Like there's so much jargon, like thousands of new brands, just like new logos, new systems that you've never seen before if you're used to working in the Web 2 space. So like even I'm like looking at like Scam Sniffer that you recommended, Masha, and like I've never seen it before. But so what I would do is like, ask around in my community, like, is this a trustworthy application? Like figure out if it's been through security audits, like if it's open source, even better. But I know now with AI coming up that there's sort of like a chilling in the open source atmosphere as well. So I hope that people do continue to develop according to best practices and don't just lock all their tech down. But yeah, like always go to your network and double check sources.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Enrique. Am I correct, Masha, that you wanted to add something before? I kind of like saw you moving, and I thought, I think maybe you want to also add something to this conversation. If not, there's actually a different topic that you just touched upon, Enrique. And thank you for sharing your expertise also from this specific. I wouldn't call it an industry. I mean, fundamentally, journalism and the spreading of the news and reporting is actually very foundational to our societies. I would argue, as a political scientist and a social scientist. So I wouldn't call it a sector. I'm just happy that you're bringing this to our attention. Now, what you also said was about AI, and that maybe brings me briefly to kind of like a different question. I believe that maybe some of you, unless it was a hacker who actually implemented this idea in my brain, but I believe not. Some of you maybe want to speak a little bit more about how AI will impact the overall state of digital security. I suppose a book can be written about this topic, but if someone feels that they want to share about this, feel free to shoot, and we'd be happy to learn from your thoughts.
Oh, well, I was actually the one that wrote it on the sheet wanting to talk about it, because I think it is like, a really important framing of the moment that we're in right now, where people are vibe coding everything. So they're relying on AI systems to to just kind of like move fast, and they don't even know what they're breaking because they don't have the foundational training of that like web developers in the past would have had to go through to get the roles that they're having in companies. So it's a lot more of like fake it till you make it ethos that's really like upsetting the software development industry. It looks to me like, you know, what journalism was going through 5 years ago. And I have a lot of empathy for what developers are going through, but also I'm very worried about the implications of that just on like the overall ecosystem where companies and products might not be going through a standard software development lifecycle where they're habitually checking for security vulnerabilities and fixing them. And also with AI, like hackers are supercharged now to be able to find new vulnerabilities faster than anyone can patch them. So I'm curious what the other experts think on this front.
Me too, actually. Full disclosure, sometimes I don't listen to everything that you're saying because, for instance, right now I was just checking if there were any comments. So before we move to your question and maybe checking with the other speakers, I also want to say that I'm very grateful for everyone who is interacting and who is watching and kind of like commenting and dropping DMs. There's also another question coming in, once again from Hani, about security measures and if they're better or worse today because of AI. Maybe to the question that you were raising, Arikia, maybe Moha, would you like to add something to this discourse or maybe to this specific question from Hani? And I am muted. Yes, you're unmuted.
Security measures are not, I don't think they are much better now because of AI, because I don't think there is a lot of AI tools that are helping with security measures just now. It's AI used in a lot of different spaces. I don't think it's someone is focusing on using AI and security measures. So I don't think we are in a better situation just now. Maybe later, I think.
All right. You're always very concise, which is fantastic. You don't give me enough time to kind of like swap the things around, but that doesn't matter. Thank you, Moha, for joining. And it's actually very nice that you are so concise. What I see often actually when I'm at events is that people just go on and on and on and on, right? Which is wonderful, but it's also really nice to be concise, right? To bring your point to the stage and then move on and extract more knowledge. Let me just move these things away from the screen. Just give me 1 second, please. All right, and then we're moving back over here with yet another question that, with an eye on the time, also like more calmly now. I would like to maybe ask all of your opinions, so all the speakers, right? There's so much moving in tech, in AI, in the crypto space, in blockchain. We see so many, threats or security risks, and yeah, people leaning into the space, maybe getting scared, whatnot. Now, anyway, do you think that there's any emerging threats that you believe will pose a pretty big security risk to the Web3 ecosystem in the next year or the next year or two? And how, if you then have kind of like labeled that risk in your mind, like how can the industry prepare for it? Or if not the industry, maybe just individuals. So long story short, to rephrase, any upcoming security threats that you have observed and how can we mitigate them? Maybe I would say that I am personally a little bit worried about systemic risks. They don't always have to come from a security perspective. Oftentimes they flow from, human encounters, people that maybe build companies in unsustainable ways. But I'm not a security expert. So which risks would you like to bring to the table that can have massive impact for our industry? Feel free to speak up, whoever wants to speak up first. Masha, please.
The most can I say now? Yeah, perfect. So I think that artificial intelligence accelerated social engineering would just explode because it's so cheap. It's much more cheaper. All these chats, all these Telegram bots, which is built with AI, and it's more and more cheaper and more powerful. So I guess social engineering as usual, but in next couple of years, with help of AI, just the biggest problem would be like and yeah, like phishing signature tip, something like this would be like explosion.
Okay.
Arika, I understand what I mean. Yeah, so much more people will try to talk with you, and they're supposed to be normal, but not normal, just chats. And front end, as usual. Also, I guess it's never will be old. So I guess that we should actually talk a little bit about what company can do. But okay, you're the leader.
They say so. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I think, am I? But anyway, that's
Yep.
the imposter syndrome, right? The famous imposter syndrome. Anyway, Arikia, I think you wanted to add something, or maybe an entirely new perspective. That's also perfectly welcome.
Yeah, I think bouncing off of that, I think the frequency of attacks is going to extremely accelerate because of AI and new technologies that are just enabling like a sheer volume of attacks to come through, and like specifically to come through social networks, because social networks have, I think, done a pretty bad job of navigating tech policy around content moderation. And a lot of them have been hiding behind a US piece of regulation called CDA 230, the Communications Decency Act, where they say, well, we can't moderate our users because then we would take responsibility for every bad thing that they do, and then we wouldn't be able to innovate as a company. But as a result, you've just got these pools of spam and malicious behavior on social networks. And for people who have learned how to navigate it for the majority of our careers, it's kind of obvious, like it's annoying that it's coming up a bit more. But for people who are younger, just kind of like getting exposed to these larger social ecosystems, or have some like disabilities or impairments, or it's going to get harder to avoid attacks, even at like the low levels. It doesn't have to be like a super sophisticated attack to just really harm people. And so I would like to see a movement toward better networks and kind of like an exodus away from these systems. That's what I'm always hoping for, is that people can really just say, okay, the people who had the ability to make the decisions didn't make good ones, so now we're going to change our user behavior and go somewhere else where the people in charge are actually like valuing us as users.
I love that you bring that to the table. I think Mohammed also wants to add something here. I would like to add one quick thing from my side. And for that reason, just for 1 second, just for 30 seconds, I'm putting on my Thrilled hat, being now the founder of Thrilled Labs. I mean, I think honestly, don't laugh. This is such an interesting thing. What we are trying to do, at least with our platform, right, is ultimately also meant for kind of like connections and engagement. I have always had the idea of kind of like trying to eliminate spam and making sure that through all sorts of onboarding measurements, but also kind of like analyzing user behavior, but in a privacy okay way, we can kind of like see who are the scammers. We can take out bots, right? They are not coming in. And we ultimately make sure that we just connect with the people that we are potentially interested in. And even if then we connect with them, we can get rid of them pretty easily. And then they are not able to contact us anymore through that platform that we've built, Thrilled. So I just wanted to put that out there. Of course, the platform is not perfect, but what I try to say with all of this is that through smart technological solutions that are not even that hard, just how we design our systems, right? A lot can be done alongside, of course, respecting regulations and maybe even more tight ethics, either in Web 2 platforms or in Web 3 platforms or Web 2.5. Anyway, enough. I should be the moderator again. Moha, would you like to add something?
Yeah, as we said, these tools are getting smarter, and it's developing very fast. It's faster than how humans can respond just now. So the preparation should come down to education, and it should be on the companies, developers, and also users. All of them have to understand how to deal with these issues. And I think, like you said, like you are doing at Threads Labs, it's mostly on companies and developers. They have to act faster, I think.
Agreed. Now, Masha, please go ahead. And then I will try to kind of like bring it back to go close. Please go ahead, Masha. Love to hear from you.
I guess that the most important or probably one of the most important stuff that companies usually avoid to do and not even think about it's to create kind of operational security playbook. So what you should do if something going wrong. So even you as a founder or probably Arika need to think. So you own a company, you're connected to Web3. So what can go wrong and what you need to do? So which step you need to take if something happens? That's stuff that actually I haven't heard that someone think about. Okay, people trying to, in the best cases, trying to do audits, trying to sign bug bounties program, but never create something like operational security playbook, where to call, where to go, what to do, and etc. etc. So I think that it's really important stuff.
Yes, it's a lot of important stuff. I think that is a great summary of all of this. I would just like to quickly ask all the speakers. Well, I mute you for a second because I hear myself a little bit in the background. Sorry. I wanted to really quickly ask all the speakers if there is something important that you forgot to say or that you really want to bring to everyone's attention, maybe your company, maybe like a call to action, maybe, you know, an ultimate tip that came to mind. Or if not, where they can best connect with you, maybe here on LinkedIn or elsewhere. Maybe I can start with you, Arikia. Would that be all right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to recommend a resource that really helped me when I was starting to build in the Web3 community, which is SheFi. So there's the SheFi Scholars Program, and it's pretty much all women, as far as I know, and they offer a lot of scholarships, and it's just really clear to understand foundational information about Web3, how it works, and there's a big focus on security best practices because, we need more women in this space, and to do that, we have to feel safe operating there. And of course, like, it's a scary world, and nothing is 100%. There's always some risk. But I think it's like networks like this that can really just help women get involved. And, we need to be innovating together. So I welcome anyone to reach out if you want to learn more about what I'm doing in the decentralized publishing world. Unfortunately, I'm still on X, but LinkedIn is also a great place, or just email. I have a contact button on my website, arikia.com. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. And everyone also scan these emails, scan these QR codes actually to go to the website as well as to your LinkedIn page, not for your sad X page that you still have in your own words, sadly. Let me now move to Masha and Moha, and then we're closing the session. And I want to thank once again everyone who is like actively participating on a Friday evening almost. fantastic. Like, this is pure work ethic, people. 24/7, the crypto space, amazing. Maybe Masha, same question to you. Anything that you kind of like forgot that you were saying, that you wanted to say, or maybe a call to action, maybe for your wonderful services that you provide as a freelancer?
Myself, so I will. Yep. Can I say? Yep. So I'm not good about promoting myself. So I would say, first of all, which is good to know and good to understand, and even probably repeat, treat front end as a part of attack vector. So it's a place which can attack you every time. So not just believe in everything. And then it's call to action for everyone: multi-signature, multi-sig, and time locks before real money. So I think that it's the most important for companies. Yeah, multi-sig and delay before send money somewhere. And front end is something aggressive.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Moha, gotta move now to you. Boom, let's put you in the middle. The wonderful gentleman who is also joining the female session.
Thank you.
All eyes on
I,
you.
yeah, I would say, as always say, it's the users that they have to understand what they are dealing with. We start from there. I think the responsibility should be on the users from the start. It's a lot of hacks, a lot of scams. If you understand what you are dealing with, you will be maybe safe. Not 100% safe, but 90% safe, I think.
Right. Well, that sounds good enough. That's already quite something, right? So with those epic words, let me move away this QR code. I want to thank all of our wonderful speakers, Moha, Arikia, Masha, as well as the attendees, everyone who signed up, who is watching this live. But I also know that lots of people are actually seeing little parts of the session afterwards in the coming weeks. We always see that in the analytics. Want to say thank you for everyone who is actually commenting, right? All the people with questions. Some people are looking for fundraising. Some people are looking for networking. Some people are just here, happy on Friday evening. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for supporting Ecstasy, the ladies for being part of Ecstasy. And yeah, if anyone is interested in joining our female community, it's free. It's a small Telegram group. Really try to push more deals there, more collaborations. It will, grow over time and whatnot. And the ultimate idea is just to help each other fundamentally, just as we generally in the Web3 space are trying to do, right? Helping each other and building something for a better world, but also for a safe world. So said that, thank you all for the speakers. It was lovely meeting you. Thank you for your time on Friday evening. And I recommend everyone to reach out to you wherever you can. And wishing you all a very, very epic weekend. Lots of safety as well, wherever you're going, online or digitally, or indeed just on the streets. And I keep rumbling on, as I sometimes do, as a host who is looking to make the panels move. Thank you all so much. Let me just move these things away and say a goodbye to everyone. Goodbye. We're there. Goodbye, everyone. All the best.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.